Currency manipulation, at its core, is the act of influencing a country's currency value. Now, you might be thinking, why would someone do that? Well, a weaker currency can make a country's exports cheaper, which can boost their economy. But the flip side is it can make imports more expensive, leading to things like inflation.
So it's like this balancing act. And for a country like South Africa, which relies heavily on exporting raw materials like gold and platinum, the value of their rand is critical.
It is. Think about it. If the rand is strong, South African gold is more expensive on the global market, which can hurt sales. But a weak rand, yeah, it makes those exports cheaper, but then it's really expensive for South Africans to import essential goods.
This is a real catch-22. Who are these forces pushing and pulling at the rand? Like, who are the players in this whole thing?
That's where it gets really interesting. I mean, we hear about speculators in the financial world, but who are they really?
Right. It's very cloak and dagger. Are we talking about, like, these shady figures manipulating markets with the click of a button? Like, what are we talking about here?
Well, it's a little more Wall Street and a little less, back alley. We're talking large financial institutions, hedge funds, often using complex financial instruments like derivatives to bet on whether a currency will rise or fall.
So they don't actually care about South Africa. They're in it for their own financial gain.
Exactly. They're looking for opportunities to profit from currency fluctuations. And because they're moving millions, even billions of dollars, their actions directly impact the rand's value.
It's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If they bet on the rand falling, because
Yeah.
they're such big players, it actually causes it to fall.
That's right. It's a complex and often unsettling reality. And it's not just these speculators. Foreign governments and multinational companies operating in South Africa, they have their own motivations for the rand's value.
Okay, so let's unpack that a bit. Why would a foreign government or company be interested in manipulating the rand?
Let's say a foreign government, they want to purchase a large amount of South African gold. Well, a weaker rand benefits them. They get to buy more gold for the same price.
So a weaker rand, it benefits anyone buying from South Africa, even if it's at the expense of South Africans.
Exactly. And this is where we see the very real impact on everyday South Africans.
It's like we're talking about two different worlds, right?
Yeah.
On one side, you have these global players, and all they're really thinking about is their bottom line, their profit. And on the other side, you have everyday South Africans, and they're just trying to, afford to live their lives.
It's a really important point. Just imagine going to the store like you do every week, and your groceries, they cost twice as much as they did last week just because the rand has weakened.
And that's inflation. Right?
Exactly. And it has a huge impact. It really erodes your purchasing power. It makes it so much harder to just afford basic necessities.
Yeah, that's a punch in the gut,
Mm.
especially for, families who are already struggling to make ends meet. It's like, how do you plan for that?
You're right. And the challenges, they don't stop there, unfortunately. This constant manipulation, this up and down, this volatility in the rand's value, it does something else. It creates a ripple effect throughout the entire South African economy.
And we talked about it a bit earlier, but like, what does that actually look like on the ground? Paint that picture for me.
So say you're a business owner in South Africa and you're thinking about, making a big investment, like maybe building a new factory. You want to create jobs, right? You want to be a part of a thriving economy. But the rand is all over the place. It's so unpredictable. It's a huge risk.
Because you just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Exactly. You just don't know if you'll be able to afford to import what you need, the materials, the supplies. You don't know if your product will be able to compete if the price is constantly changing.
So this uncertainty, it chokes the economy. It strangles growth. And the people who are hurt the most are the ones who need it the most.
And then it gets even more complicated because then you have individuals, groups within South Africa that might benefit from a weaker rand, even though it hurts everyone else.
And hold on, who could possibly benefit from their own country's currency being weak?
Okay, think about it. You have powerful business leaders, right? Some of them are involved in exports. A weaker rand actually makes them more competitive. Their products, they become cheaper on the global market, so their profits go up.
So you're saying that while many, many South Africans are struggling, to pay more for everything, you have this small group that's actually benefiting from the whole situation.
That's the unfortunate reality, and it exposes something really important here. These power imbalances, these competing interests, they exist in any economy. And I think it underscores how critical it is that we question everything. Like, who's benefiting from this? Who's paying the price? Because there are always two sides to every coin.
Yeah, it paints a pretty bleak picture.